We've decided we don't need you anymore. Toria's voice was ice cold through the phone. The baby's healthy. We'll take it from here. My hand went to my swollen belly. 8 months pregnant. I'd carried their daughter for 8 months, and now they were cutting me out. What about the final payment? My voice shook. The medical bills? The contract? Our lawyer says the contract has loopholes, her husband William cut in. You'll get nothing. And if you make trouble, we'll make sure no agency ever works with you again. They hung up. I sat in my tiny apartment, 7 months of unpaid invoices stacked on my kitchen table, and felt the baby kick. Their baby. The one I'd agreed to carry because they seemed desperate and kind. I'd been so stupid. But they'd been even more stupid. Because they had no idea what I'd discovered 3 weeks ago. My name is Nina Reeves. I'm 32 years old, a single mom to a 6-year-old son named Oliver. 2 years ago, my ex-husband left us with nothing but debt and broken promises. I worked 2 jobs trying to keep us afloat. Waitressing during the day, cleaning offices at night. Oliver stayed with my mom while I worked myself to exhaustion. Then I saw an ad for surrogate mothers. The payment was enough to clear my debt and put money away for Oliver's future. The agency seemed legitimate. They did background checks, psychological evaluations, medical screenings. I wasn't doing this lightly. I knew the risks. But I also knew what it was like to want a child desperately. My mom had struggled to have me. I understood that pain. When the agency matched me with Toria and William Chun, they seemed perfect. Professional, kind, grateful. They promised to support me through the entire pregnancy. I should have trusted my instincts when the red flags started appearing. Our first meeting was at an expensive restaurant downtown. Toria wore designer clothes and diamond earrings. William drove a luxury car. They seemed nervous but excited. We've been trying for 7 years, Toria explained, dabbing her eyes. 3 failed IVF attempts. 2 miscarriages. The doctors say I can't carry to term. William held her hand. You're giving us the greatest gift imaginable. We'll never forget that. They asked about Oliver. Said they understood how hard single motherhood was. Promised I'd be part of their daughter's life if I wanted. We're not just hiring you, Toria said warmly. We're building a relationship. This child will know how much you sacrificed for her. I believed every word. Signed the contract without reading it carefully enough. The agency had approved it, so I thought I was protected. The first payment came through immediately. $15,000. Enough to catch up on rent and buy Oliver new shoes. I thought I'd found good people. The first 3 months were perfect. Toria texted me every day. How are you feeling? Any cravings? Did you take your vitamins? They came to every doctor's appointment. William brought me ginger tea for morning sickness. Toria held my hand during the first ultrasound when we heard the heartbeat. She's perfect, Toria whispered, tears streaming down her face. Thank you, Nina. Thank you so much. They paid for everything. Premium prenatal vitamins. A special pregnancy pillow. Even groceries when I mentioned money was tight. Don't worry about costs, William said. We want you and our baby to have the best. My mom warned me they seemed too good to be true. Rich people don't stay rich by being generous, she said. Watch yourself. But I was too grateful to listen. Too hopeful. Too desperate to believe good things could happen to people like me. I didn't notice when the texts became less frequent. When they started missing appointments. Month 4, everything changed. Toria stopped responding to my messages for days at a time. William made excuses about work stress. They missed 2 doctor's appointments without explanation. The second payment was late. When I called the agency, they said the Chens were restructuring their finances but everything would be fine. I started worrying. My mom offered to help with bills, but she was already stretched thin watching Oliver. At my 5-month checkup, the doctor asked where the parents were. They haven't missed an appointment yet. Work emergency, I lied. I didn't want anyone thinking something was wrong. But something was definitely wrong. I felt it in my gut. The way Toria's texts became short and businesslike. The way William avoided my calls. When the third payment didn't come at all, I knew I was in trouble. I called the agency. They said they'd reach out to the Chens. 3 days later, the agency called back. The Chens are exercising their right to direct communication. They're handling payments personally now. That should have been my first real warning. Month 6, I met them for coffee. Toria looked different. Colder. She didn't ask about my health or the baby. Just got straight to business. We need to discuss the financial arrangement, she said. The pregnancy has been more expensive than anticipated. We need to adjust the payment schedule. My stomach dropped. The contract specifies. The contract has some ambiguity, William interrupted. Our lawyer reviewed it. You'll still get paid, just differently structured. They wanted to cut my payments in half. Delay the final payment until 6 months after birth. Remove coverage for my medical expenses. I can't afford that, I said. I have bills. My son. Then perhaps surrogacy wasn't the right choice for you, Toria said coolly. We're offering what we can afford. Take it or leave it. I took it. I had no choice. I was 6 months pregnant with their baby. What else could I do? Walking to my car, I cried so hard I could barely see. I'd trusted them completely. And they were taking advantage of that trust. Month 7 brought the real nightmare. My payment didn't come at all. I called and texted constantly. Finally, William answered. We've decided to withhold payment until after delivery, he said. For quality control purposes. Quality control? I'm not making a product. I'm carrying your child. Exactly. And we need assurance that you're following all medical guidelines. Once she's born healthy, you'll get everything owed. I contacted the agency. They said their hands were tied. The contract enforcement is between you and the parents. We can try to mediate, but we can't force payment. I hired a lawyer with money I didn't have. She reviewed the contract and sighed. This is full of loopholes. The agency should never have approved it. You could sue, but it would take years and cost thousands. I was trapped. 7 months pregnant, drowning in medical bills, with no income and no options. That's when I remembered something from my last ultrasound. Something the technician had mentioned casually that the Chens hadn't been there to hear. During my routine 7-month ultrasound, the technician had asked, "Are the parents working with a genetic specialist?" "I don't think so." "Why?" She'd hesitated, then shown me something on the screen. The baby has a marker that sometimes indicates a genetic condition. It's probably nothing, but usually parents request additional testing. Especially when using IVF with genetic screening. Should I tell them? The doctor will note it in the report. They should receive a copy. But here's what I realized. Victoria and William had stopped attending appointments. They weren't receiving those reports. Their doctor wasn't my doctor. And I'd kept every single medical record. Every test result. Every scan. Every note about the baby's health and development. I called my lawyer. What if I refused to hand over the baby without payment? They'd get a court order within hours. What if I have information they need? Medical information. She paused. Tell me more. I explained everything. She was quiet for a long moment. That changes things. Nina, you might have more power here than you think. I sent Victoria and William one email. Simple and direct. I have important medical information about your daughter. We need to meet. Bring the money you owe me, and I'll share everything. William called within an hour. What medical information? Is something wrong with the baby? Let's meet and discuss it. With all outstanding payments. You're blackmailing us. No, I'm requesting what I'm owed contractually. The medical information is separate. But yes, you should probably know about it before she's born. The silence told me everything. They were scared. Victoria got on the line. What's wrong with her? Nothing definitive. But there's a marker that requires follow-up testing. Testing that should have happened weeks ago if you'd been attending appointments. More silence. Then, we'll meet you tomorrow. With a check. Cash, I said. And I want it all. Every penny owed, plus medical expenses they'd promised to cover. I hung up feeling stronger than I had in months. The baby kicked, and I whispered, "Don't worry, little one. I'm protecting both of us now." They showed up at the coffee shop looking furious. Victoria's face was tight with barely controlled rage. William had a briefcase. "This is extortion," Victoria hissed as they sat down. "This is me enforcing a contract you're trying to break," I replied calmly. "The medical information is a separate issue. But since you asked, let me explain." I pulled out the ultrasound report. Showed them the marker the technician had noted. Explained what it might mean. "Why weren't we told about this?" William demanded. "You stopped coming to appointments. Stopped communicating with my doctor. These reports go to the patient, me, and to any authorized recipients. You removed yourselves from that list." Victoria's hands shook as she read the report. This could be serious. She might need surgery after birth. Special care. Yes. All of which I've been documenting. All of which you'd know if you hadn't cut me out. William opened the briefcase. "Here's what we owe under the original contract. Now give us the complete medical records." "I didn't touch the money. That's not all." "What do you mean, that's not all?" William's voice rose. I pulled out a folder. "Medical bills you refused to cover. 3 months of unpaid expenses. Pain medication, special pregnancy supports, extra ultrasounds the doctor ordered. All covered under our contract." Victoria's face went red. "That's another $15,000. $17,000, actually. Plus the emotional distress of being abandoned during a high-risk pregnancy you created." "High risk? You said the baby was fine." "She probably is. But your stress and treatment of me created complications. My blood pressure has been dangerously high. I've had to go to the emergency room twice. All documented." I slid the hospital bills across the table. "Pay what you owe, or I'll file a lawsuit. And trust me, no judge will look kindly on wealthy parents who abandon their surrogate during a difficult pregnancy." William looked at Victoria. She nodded tightly. He wrote another check. "All of the medical records," he demanded. "Everything." I handed over copies. Kept the originals. "One more thing. You threatened to blacklist me with surrogacy agencies. You're going to write a letter stating I fulfilled my obligations professionally and completely." "Never." "Then I'll tell every agency how you treated me. Good luck finding another surrogate when everyone knows you're liars." They wrote the letter. 2 weeks before my due date, Victoria called. Her voice was different. Softer. Almost apologetic. "Nina, can we talk? In person." We met at a park. She looked tired. "I owe you an apology. William and I were under enormous stress. Financial pressures we didn't discuss. We handled everything wrong." "You did. The money you made us pay cleared out our savings. But you were right. We owed it to you. We should never have tried to cheat you." I waited. There was more coming. The baby's genetic testing came back. The marker was nothing serious. But it scared us. Made us realize how close we came to ruining everything. "You almost did." Victoria's eyes filled with tears. "I know. And I'm sorry. Truly sorry. We got so focused on the money and the stress that we forgot you're a person. A person sacrificing her body for us." I wanted to stay angry. But sitting there, watching her cry, I felt something shift. She was human. Flawed. Desperate. Not evil, just selfish and scared. "I accept your apology," I said quietly. "But I won't forget how you treated me." The baby came 3 days later. 8 pounds, perfectly healthy, with a full head of dark hair. Victoria and William were at the hospital within an hour of my call. Victoria held her daughter for the first time and sobbed. "She's perfect. She's absolutely perfect." William looked at me with genuine gratitude. "Thank you, Nina. We don't deserve this gift, but thank you." I stayed in the hospital for 2 days. They visited every few hours, bringing flowers, thanking me repeatedly. The difference from their earlier behavior was startling. On discharge day, William handed me an envelope. This is beyond the contract. A thank you for everything you endured. Especially everything we put you through. Inside was a check for $25,000. More than they'd originally promised in total. You don't have to. We do. We want to. And we've set up an education fund for Oliver. $10,000 for his college. I started crying. After everything, they were trying to make things right. Thank you, I whispered. This means everything. Victoria touched my hand. You gave us our daughter. It's the least we can do. 3 months later, they invited me to their home for a visit. I brought Oliver. The baby, they'd named her Tatcha, was growing fast. We want you in her life, Toria said. Not as a surrogate. As someone important. Someone who helped bring her into this world. Oliver played with their dog while I held Tatcha. She had Toria's eyes and William's smile. We've told our families the truth, William said. About how we treated you. How you had to fight for what you were owed. We're not proud of it. But we learned from it, Toria added. We're joining a support group for intended parents. Teaching them about treating surrogates with respect. I rocked Tatcha gently. That's good. No surrogate should go through what I did. Because of you they won't. We're advocating for better contracts. Better protections. Your story matters. Looking at Tatcha, I realized something. The betrayal, the fight, the fear, all of it had led to something good. Not just for me and Oliver, but for other surrogates who'd come after. Sometimes the consequences of betrayal go both ways. They'd hurt me, but it changed them. Made them better. Standing in my new apartment, paid for with the money they'd given me, I thought about everything that happened. The betrayal hurt. The fight exhausted me. But I'd won. Not just the money. Not just the justice. I'd won something more important, the knowledge that I could stand up for myself. That I had power even when I felt powerless. Toria and William learned that betraying someone doesn't mean getting away with it. Actions have consequences. People fight back. And sometimes, the person you underestimate is the one who ends up teaching you the most important lesson. I looked at Oliver, asleep on our new couch. Safe. Secure. With a college fund and a future. They thought betraying their surrogate had no consequences. They were wrong. The consequence was that I'd found my strength. They'd found their humanity. And Tatcha would grow up knowing that sometimes people make mistakes, but what matters is making them right. I'd carried their daughter in my body. But in the process, I discovered something I'd been carrying all along, the power to demand what I deserved. And that power changed everything.